Another great suggestion that people have been giving me is Sphinx of the Guild pack. Alone, that card would meet the 5 color requirements needed for Happily Ever After. But that deck is a monocolored deck, and I'm sure some of y'all out there are saying that this has a colorless color identity and can slot into any deck. But this line right here ruins it all. It's a static ability that we call a characteristic defining ability. That would be any static ability that would give information about that card that would normally be found somewhere else on that object. And the thing about them is that they function in all zones, and they also function outside the game and before the game begins. This means that in Commander, we would look at characteristic defining abilities when determining the color identity of a card when building a deck. Hold on a minute, how does a card like Devoid have a color identity when Devoid is a characteristic defining ability that says it has no color? Well, the color identity of a card is the mana symbols on the card, plus any colors defined by its characteristic defining abilities or color indicator. So it's the blue mana pips plus colorless, which in the end equals blue. But it's also important to note that things in italics are not rules text, meaning the color pips on there are not part of the color identity. So Cryptgas can go in a mono black deck. And I briefly mentioned about color indicator, so even though Westvale Abbey is a colorless card on the front, this has a black color indicator, meaning that this has a black color identity. Also, speaking about lands are also considered colorless as well, even though the card is quite colorful, but we can only include basic land types that could produce mana that would be in that commander's color identity. So something like Keytree Triumph has mana pips on there, but they don't count because they're in the reminder text. Remember, italics don't count towards color identity, but it does have basic land types, and that would be considered for color identity. Now, something like Spectator Seeding actually does have mana pips in the rules text, so this would have red and white color identity. But City of Brass doesn't have any of those things, and this is considered a colorless card and can go in any deck.